So it was my senior year in high school, and I was summoned to the guidance counselor's office for the big talk. So, Jennifer, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Wow. I'm not really sure, but I really like sign language. I was thinking about being a sign language interpreter. Oh, that's nice, but signing isn't really a career. That's more something that like part-time moms do to help out at the church on weekends. Oh, crap, that was all I had. I didn't want to do anything else. Actually, that's not quite true. I wanted to be an actor or a singer, but all of the adults around me had firmly planted in my head that that was the road to ruin and homelessness. So I thought being a sign language interpreter sounded like a pretty good alternative to being a homeless actor. But she shot that right down, and I took her word for it. I mean, this was the 80s, so there wasn't an internet to look on. And this was before the Americans with Disabilities Act, so sign language interpreters weren't all over the place, like at press conferences and standing next to the president. There have been even fake ones, which is not good, but the real ones are great. And also this was in Arizona, which was a little bit behind the times, so she said that it wasn't a career, it was more like a hobby, so I dropped it. I went to college and got a degree in a completely different field, which was arts management with a music minor, because that is practical, right? It had the word management in it, and I went to the School of Business for some of my classes, so I felt like somebody would hire me. And to fulfill my degree, I needed to get an internship. Now, I had a friend who graduated the year before, and she moved to Washington, D.C., and she invited me to spend the summer out there and find an internship here. It sounded awesome, because I wanted to get away from Arizona. I am not a Southwestern kind of gal. So I got here, I did my internship, and then I couldn't find a job in the arts. I was shocked, right? Somebody has to die at the Smithsonian for you to get a job there. I mean, it's just not happening. So then remember when you look for a job, you used to open up the help wanted section in the Post and then circle stuff with a marker? Yeah, that's what I was doing. And I saw an ad for a nonprofit and a nonprofit agency, and sign language was a plus. Oh, yeah. Let me go back a little bit. I forgot to tell you this part of the story. I knew some sign language because the reason that I wanted to be an interpreter is that I had met a girl a little bit before high school who was in a theater program I was in. And she was really cool, and I wanted to get to know her, but I didn't know any signs. So I went to the library, I took out a couple of books, and I came to her basically awkwardly signing, please teach me sign language, and she did. And I loved learning sign language. It was amazing. It opened up a door in my mind. I mean, language up to this point had been some sort of talking, and listening. But this, you don't usually sound like that, but some sort of verbal communication. But this was three-dimensional art in the air, and you could communicate silently. Whoa, I loved it. So that's what I brought to my counselor, like, I want to be an interpreter. And she said, forget it. So here I am in Washington, D.C., arts management degree in hand, did my internship, couldn't find a job. Now I'm looking for a job. Sign language a plus. I had some of that. Not much, but I could spell my name badly, and I knew a little bit, and it got me the job. I think the fact that I was willing to learn sign language was as much as anything. I was working at Deaf Reach, which is a social service agency for the deaf in Washington, D.C. And now I am surrounded by deaf people, and everybody is signing. This is my in-country experience. So I could say, hi, my name is, hold on, Jen. By that time they were gone. No, actually everybody around me was incredibly patient. And I was learning sign language fast. I kept a notebook on my day of the week calendar. I would keep a sign of the day, and I'd go back and practice it. When I was walking from the metro to and from work, I would be practicing my sign language, and people thought I was waving at them. And I was really in my element, and I loved it. There were two women who worked there named Julie and Jill. and they were professional sign language interpreters. They were doing what I had dreamed of doing. So I asked them a million questions, and they became mentors and really good friends of mine. And about 6 months after working at Deaf Reach, Julie pulled me aside and said, you know, if you went back to school for maybe even just a couple of years, you could become a professional interpreter. And I was really honored that she was noticing I was coming along so well. And so I thought, this would be amazing. And she pointed out that there was an interpreter shortage, especially in Washington, D.C. I had forgotten the fact that D.C. is the home to Gallaudet University, the university specializing in training, giving college degrees to deaf and hard of hearing people. And this is the most vibrant deaf community in the United States. She said, this is a perfect place for you. You should do it. And I thought, yeah. And then I did nothing. I walked away from the whole idea. And at the time, I told myself it was because I'm out of money. I'm still trying to catch up from college. I used all the money I had to get to DC. And I just can't afford it. But what was really happening is I felt like I was out of time. I was only 22, but I thought, yeah, I thought I was too late. I thought the time for school and learning and being a student is over. I had had my 4 years. I had committed to coming to DC and working. I'm done. That's it. Now I need to be an adult. And I need to earn money. And I need to, I don't know, settle for what I had. So I walked away from the idea. And I ended up walking away from that agency not long after that because there had been a change in management and it just turned out to be a really bad fit. So I walked out of that environment. And I walked into, actually I sort of fell into a career in direct mail fundraising. Yeah, I can see that you're so excited for me. It was okay. You know, I was editing things, so I was using language skills, but I didn't like it that much. And then eventually I really was miserable. And I'd be one of those people who have to drag themselves out of bed in the morning. So after about almost 10 years in that career, I decided, yeah, it was bad. I decided that I was going to figure something else out. Now, there's an organization called the Vienna Women's Center. I don't know if you've heard it. It offers, Women's Center. They offer all sorts of counseling and workshops, and they had a career-changing workshop that was kind of like What Color Is My Parachute, that kind of thing, where you look at what you're good at and what you've had experience in and the whole thing. And then you try to figure out what you might like to do next. Now at this point, I was getting to be about 30, and I thought, you know, maybe it's not too late to change. And I went through the whole program and analyzed things and wrote all sorts of stuff. And it turns out that I still wanted to be a sign language interpreter. It hadn't gone away. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do it this time. I needed to find a night program because I had to keep my full-time job so I could pay the mortgage. And I found a nighttime, I couldn't go to Gallaudet for that reason. I found a nighttime program in Catonsville at their community college right outside of Baltimore. I lived and worked in Falls Church. That's kind of a commute, yeah. I was going probably 2-3 nights a week, working full-time, going to school part-time, and I was on the road probably 2 hours up and an hour back. But it was worth it because as soon as I started taking classes, I knew I was on the right path, and I was getting super excited about it. So I did my school. It took me 2.5 years or so, and then I found an internship at a sign language agency, and I did that, and then I became a full-time sign language interpreter in 99. So wow, it's almost been 20 years, and I've been doing it, and I love what I do. It's a wonderful job. Now, one thing that's exciting is that sometimes I get to interpret for famous people. I've interpreted for Marley Matlin. That was cool. And I interpreted for President Obama, which was really exciting. Woo! I haven't been to the White House lately. I don't know why. It just hasn't come up. But more than that kind of high-profile thing, the thing that inspires me is interpreting for people in their daily lives doing important things. I've interpreted for more students getting their degrees than I can count. I've interpreted for weddings. I've interpreted for funerals. I've interpreted for parents welcoming a new baby into their life. I've interpreted for a family who was saying goodbye to a member of their family who wasn't going to be with them very long, and helping them have conversations with their doctors. So it's been wonderful. And if I could go back to my younger self and talk to her, I'd say, it's too late? Girl, you are wrong. But you're going to figure it out, and it's going to be great. Thank you.